Yo. You're in the mix.
The world's finest, man. DJ.
We're doing it live, and we're doing it real on YouTube. It's the What's the Real Deal radio show every Friday night weekly.
Oh my God. Shut the front door.
What?
If you're weak-minded or sensitive, you might get your feelings hurt in here. Jump up game with the fam. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.
What's good, people? What's good, people? Big Rich here from the Big Rich Live on the Mic Radio Show. Welcome to the next installment of What's the Real Deal. It's Friday, y'all. Another end of a, hopefully for you, but definitely for me, a very positive and productive week. And I'm glad that you guys decided to let me borrow your ear for the next 20 to 30 minutes just to chop up game and answer a couple of your questions and stuff like that. But let me tell you something. This subject today is something that I did today. I didn't go to work today. I got asked to do something, and I was very honored, sort of reluctant to do it, but I had so much fun. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, our email address is what's the real deal 68@gmail.com. That's what's the real deal 68@gmail.com. Our parent company, our parent website is bigrichlivonthemic.com, and the Twitter is capital B, capital R, live on the mic. So like, share, subscribe. Share this particular show on your social media platforms. Each one teach one here. Everything that you do is appreciated. Like it if you like it. Don't thumbs down if you don't. Leave a comment if you will. DM me on Instagram, Big Rich Live on the mic, _ between each word, or continue to send us your emails. But today we're going to talk about the Boys and Girls Club. Today, I spent the entire day, basically, from like 8 o'clock this morning to till about 1 p.m. And I was a judge. I was on one of 4 panelists on a judge for, it's called the YOA. It's the Youth of the Year. And they broke it up into two categories. You had the general category, which is basically anybody, any child that was nominated through their Boys and Girls Club, just general, open to the public. And then the panel that I was on was the military branch, where these Boys and Girls Clubs are actually attached to. A lot of times they're actually on the various bases throughout the state of Florida. So I was asked by a wonderful woman who is the creator of Dueling Dragons of Orlando, Cops and Kids Dragon Boat team that we had pushed real hard last summer. I was asked by her to volunteer, and I just don't say no to her. So me and a buddy of mine, both of us are former police officers, retired police officers, and military men, So we was like, hey, cool. Now, I had no idea that I was going to be put on the panel of military. I had military experience, but so did my buddy. But I was put on the military panel, and he wasn't. We had 10 well-deserving young men and women, young boys and girls, because they was all, I want to say from 18. I think the lowest one we had was 14 and 15, something like that. And the process basically was, a couple of weeks ago, we were all given access into the Boys and Girls Club judging portal. And you would go into that portal, and it would give you, depending on what panel they put you on, it would give you all of the kids' applications. Right now, the applications, the biggest application I had was one young man. It was 22 pages long, and then the smallest application I had was from a young lady. It was 15 pages long. Now, basically what it was a brief synopsis on the front form of, their criteria, their grades, their voluntary hours, where they're stationed from, then bullet points on what they've done, their achievements, their goals, their views, that type of stuff right there, right? And then you would flip in the package, and then like the next 4 or 5 pages was their transcripts, basically grades from, if there was a middle school, from the first year in the middle school all the way up to the end, all the way up to present, so on and so forth. So you would go through those. Then they had 4 essays. Now the essays were their personal brand, their vision for the youth, their experience with the club, and forgive me, I can't remember the last. I'm surprised I remember 3 of the 4. And they had freehand basically to write an essay in their own words and submit it. Then at the end, they had letters of recommendations. They had to have 3 letters of recommendations. And then to end up the application, it was their supporting document. So if they said it was a president of this, if they won this, they graduated from this, if they completed this course, then you would have copies of that, that supporting document. So that was like 25% of the grade of the entire marking grade, if you will. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been downloading, printing, and getting exactly what I needed in that, right? So we did that. So once we did all of that, then once you read everything, you had to grade them. You had to give them 2 grades from 0 to 5. And you had to do one was on their essays, and the other one was their overall skills, right? So once you did all of that, then you would submit all of that. Okay, that's 25% of the grade. Then you would come in, and I think because of the military, it was actually 50% of the grade. So you come in, you section it off. It was 3 people on my panel. I was, I guess, the lead person called the greeter, and then you had 2 other gentlemen, and then you had a young woman. And what helped me, not helped me, but what sort of surprised me was I was the only African American on the board, which I'm used to that. But the fact that overall, I mean, with some how would you put it? Some not disagreements, but you would look at things a little bit different. We were all pretty much on the same page before they came in. I mean, we all had the number 1 and number 2. We had some that were down further, on our list. And like I said, we had 10 applicants. One, for some reason, didn't show up, so we had 9. And it was 2 gentlemen that stood out above the rest. I'm not going to use any names because they all minors, but it was 2 gentlemen that were, I'm not even going to say head and shoulders, because at first when we saw them, we was like, okay, cool, that's what we're going to do. These is number 1 and number 2. And then we had some young ladies that came in that just basically just their stories, the issues that they had in their upbringing. I told my people on the panel that this was as therapeutic for me and eye-opening for me as it was the kids. And why I say that is because there is a saying that, don't always look down on you because there's somebody that has it worse than you. And a lot of times when you going through that type of stuff, you really don't know. You think that you just going through the worst. There's some people, there's some young kids that really, really, really went through some stuff. So there's a lot of people out here that have so many things bad going through that they've gone through. But because of their internal strength, perseverance, and the Boys and Girls Clubs and other mentors and programs, if you will, they have achieved great, excuse me, oh, dang. They have achieved great things, just great things. And what we had said was that the 9 that we saw, there was not one dud in the bunch. Yeah, there were others who were shined more. Like my buddy was saying that even the sixth place person, because he was on a panel, he was on the general panel, so they had 6 applicants. Even the person who was in sixth place, last place, now might be 13, 14, 15, but in 2 or 3 years, they might be a superstar, and that's how we felt with ours. The gentleman that came in first, we graded him last, but there was a lot of things that, you got to take into consideration. The fact that you're the first one, you right off rip. And I'm pretty good at public speaking to a certain extent, but I would have been horrid. I really would have been just, flabbergasted coming in there like, so they did a very good job. And I think that my life, and it's going to sound corny, I think that my life is better having met them, having heard their story, having read their essays, that type of stuff right there. It was something that it is an experience that not only do I recommend to you, anybody who's listening, but I've also made the commitment to judge other competitions, within the Boys and Girls Club. Now, I'll never be a child person. That's just not my thing. When you have well-behaved, articulate children, that's great. Not hang out, but I'll talk to them all day. But they don't need me. What needs me is the kids that are on the opposite side of the spectrum. But I lack patience, and that's a crutch that I have to bear, because I know that I have not only opportunity, but I think I have the obligation to help kids. And I'm like, I struggle with it. So we'll see, how that goes. But I do know that myself and my buddy and my people are going to volunteer to do, local judging and stuff like that. Anything that I can help, even speaking to the kids, I would be willing to do that. And I put this in this What's the Real Deal because, hey, this is our 12th episode. And, it's always I'm getting into somebody's ass. But this was just something that was just excellent. It was something that touched me, and it's something that I feel that I need to get across to you. And you might say that you might not necessarily have a Boys and Girls Club, but maybe the Cub Scouts, maybe something that you can get into and touch these young kids' lives, because almost to a one, they would say, they would reach out and identify at least one person. A lot of them had multiple people. And these people was outside of mom and dad. A lot of them was from single parent households. And even the ones that had a mother and father, because I was on the military panel, a lot of them, if their fathers or mothers was in the military, they was deployed. So, up to a year at a time, it was kind of like a single parent household. You know what I'm saying? So just because you think, okay, these people in the military, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have both, mother and father, or if they do have mother and father, both of them in their lives. So that definitely opened my mind up, and it opened my heart up. And I just know that I'm going to be involved any way I can, as long as it ain't, to have to, be buddies and have an active mentor. That's just not me. I remember, and this is often a little tangent, but I remember when my mom had passed away, I had got saved, and I was really threw myself into this church. And the pastor, God rest his soul, Reverend Nobles, wanted me to be not an usher, a deacon, right? I was nominated. He wanted to nominate me and my partner to be deacons. And I was like, that's not even in my wheelhouse. I just don't play with that. For me to say that I would mentor kids, in the Boys and Girls Club or anything else. That's not in my wheelhouse. It's something that I just do not want to do. It's not in my nature. Now, that doesn't mean that I'll never do it. It just means I'm not going to sit up here and blow smoke and be like, well, I can go ahead and do that. I really can't. But I put it out to my viewing audience because if it is in your wheelhouse, then I think that you should do it. I really feel that you should reach out and volunteer your time and your expertise. Let me tell you something. Somebody has said something about judges, oh, you need to be professionals and all that. Yeah, that'd be great. And mentors, that'd be great. But you know what also be great? Not more, not less. Let's just say I got 4 or 5 jobs. Let's just say I got 2 or 3 jobs, because, I might not be that educated, I'm having problems with the language, but I got 2 jobs. I got 3 jobs. I got 2 or 3 kids and I'm making it, I'm making it. These are people who can be mentors also because there's 2 things that they can do. They can be a mentor to be like, look, I'm struggling now. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to struggle. So you might not want to make the decisions. And you notice I didn't say mistakes. You might not want to make the decisions I made. But 2, they could say, look, you probably working 1 job and struggling. Get you another job. Look what I'm doing. Let me tell you something. We had one guy, and it wasn't in my panel. I found out later on. There was this one African-American child, young man. He had 3 jobs. He got 3 jobs. He got 2 jobs during the week. He got 1 job in the weekend, right? So he got 3 jobs. He plays football and maintains a 3.5 GPA. I mean, when you think of that type of stuff, and he was like 16, 17. Amazing. There are amazing young men and women out here doing it. And the thing is, they're not from affluent backgrounds. They're not from privileged backgrounds. A lot of them from broken homes. There was 2 cats, 1 female, 1 male, that said that they still wake up from time to time to gunshots, 2, 3 in the morning because of where they live in the ghetto. So, and they both got over 3.0. I think one was 3.25. The other one was 3.45, something like that. GPAs. So I reach out to all of you to be like, hey, I got to do more than just me. I got to take care of more than just mine. I have to really be cognizant of my blessing. Okay. And understand that if I can do something, if I can be a positive light in somebody's life. And again, it doesn't mean that you got to go by these people's home. Doesn't mean that you got to be in their face 24/7. It is just like, remember what I said, I want to say in the last show when we was talking about how we was in a restaurant and a young male came up and he said we inspired him just by having the power meeting. This was just a reinforcement of that. Everyone came in nervous, scared, but they all came in with a hunger. They all looked across and saw there was professionals standing in front of them, giving them an opportunity to not only intermingle and bounce stuff off of, but in my case, because I was only African American on the panel, you see somebody that looks like you. You see somebody who looks like you that is on the panel because they are either a former, a veteran or a former law enforcement officer or a professional or that type of entrepreneur, something like that. So when you walk in, it's like, wow, that cat over there, I want to be like that. I want to sit on that side of the table in 5 to 6 years. So I say this in conclusion. Today was a blessing. Today was an honor and a privilege. It was a life changing, and I'm not being facetious and I'm not trying to overblow it. It was a life change when it comes to looking at people who are less fortunate than yourself, but they still achieve in spite of it. So when people say to take your life, take this land back again, or make this country great again, this country's already has already. Oh, I'm messing it up. It already has great individuals in there. And if you turn around and look to your right or look to your left or look behind you, they're probably standing right there and you don't really know it. So volunteer, do what you got to do to help others that are less fortunate than yourself. And I guarantee you, the payment that you receive will be 100 times more than what you have given to these young men and women. So on that note, I'm gonna end this. I hope I touched you guys. Go to I want to say it's boysandgirlsclub.org. I think I want to say that. But if not, just Google Boys and Girls Club or other youth organizations that you can volunteer for. Okay? I appreciate it. So in the meantime, in between time, stay blessed, stay safe, stay woke. Peace, and I'm out.